Ex-tropical Cyclone Jasper dumps record rainfall north of Cairns and upcoming severe weather around Christmas time across Australia. So taking a look at the Australian picture right now, most interestingly still is ex-tropical Cyclone Jasper, which has dumped nearly 700 millimetres of rain overnight north of Cairns around Daintree rainforest, making it one of the wettest tropical cyclones in Australian meteorological history. This is your latest update from Force 13 Australia. Make sure you are subscribed and leave a like on the video while you're at it, and stick around to the end for your graphical Christmas forecast. So we're going to be taking a look at the Australian picture first. You can see ex-tropical Cyclone Jasper, where that rain patch is over Cairns right now. It's really just remnant low at this point, and it is driving that incredible amount of moisture ashore north of Cairns, but thankfully the rain will ease throughout today. Severe storms will develop across Queensland and New South Wales over the coming days, while heatwave conditions materialise today and tomorrow throughout New Zealand, and then tomorrow and into later next week throughout northern or northwestern Australia and into Western Australia, where temperatures could reach 50 degrees Celsius at some point next week. So zooming in now on the remnants of tropical Cyclone Jasper, still with winds sustained at 50 kilometres an hour, pressure of 997 millibars. It's centred just towards the west, or the east rather, of Cairns. Now it is a tropical low at this point, and it is connected to a coastal trough which is driving that moisture ashore. Thankfully it will be heading further north today. It might re-emerge over the Gulf of Carpentaria, but it's a really low chance of reformation, so it's probably going to be done and dusted by tomorrow afternoon, and thankfully that will mean that the rainfall will start to ease off for the Cape York Peninsula. But just speaking of that rainfall, ridiculous rainfall totals. Cairns Airport 309 millimetres, and that is underwater, but there are places that have picked up nearly 700 millimetres overnight from this storm. Yandal at 684, Mosman just outside of Daintree River 601 millimetres, and Miola 638. And Karumba has picked up 1,400 millimetres to 9 a.m. yesterday, so probably close to 2,000 millimetres now from this tropical cyclone as a whole. Thankfully, rivers are starting to fall, so it looks like the flooding situation might be just starting to ease off at this time. Let's take a look at the composite radar from windy.com. The Cairns radar is down again, unfortunately. That must be because of the incredible volume of rainfall around where the radar site is, but you can see that rainfall just starting to ease off at this time, which is really good news, and it is pulling a little bit further north. It's north of Port Douglas now, and it's moving north of Wudgil at this time, so the rainfall there will ease off by this afternoon, but thankfully it has eased off completely for Innisfail and Cairns, and it will just be showers for the rest of today and into tomorrow. And taking a look at that rainfall picture, you can see it right now. 3-hour totals are still at around that 100 millimetre mark, but they will be dropping off dramatically throughout the course of today, and then by Tuesday, Wednesday, we're really going to see those rainfall totals drop and completely dissipate completely. Around Laura, though, we could still be seeing some very heavy rainfall throughout this evening, and as you get further north up to Cooktown or Cape Flattery, you could still be seeing that heavy rainfall into tomorrow morning, but thankfully this looks like the last day of this really serious rainfall. So zooming out and taking a look at Australia, you can see those severe storms materialising New South Wales and southeast Queensland, extending into central Queensland, and also to note some thunderstorm activity in Western Australia and up and down towards Perth as well, and that will extend into South Australia, driving storm activity. Once again, a new wave of storm activity for New South Wales and Queensland around Christmas time into Boxing Day, and these storms could be severe, so we could be seeing a very wet Christmas throughout Queensland. So playing that through again as we enter Tuesday and Wednesday, those severe storms through New South Wales and Queensland, and then Thursday, Friday, they start to ease off. Saturday and Sunday, next weekend, we'll be seeing those storms across Western Australia and into South Australia, and by Christmas Day, Monday, we'll be seeing those storms fire once again in New South Wales, just outside of Coffs Harbour, Grafton, and Boxing Day could be very wet for places between Brisbane up towards Townsville, with those severe thunderstorms around the coastline. Now, temperature is another serious thing that we need to be looking at, is just how hot places are expected to be around Christmas time. It's the Australian summer, so we do expect it, but there will be places that pick up maximum temperatures up to 50 degrees Celsius over the coming week or so. Most of those places will be in Western Australia, but there's certainly a chance for places around Tennant Creek, Wave Hill in the Northern Territory to get temperatures approaching 45 degrees Celsius, and then into South Australia around Coober Pedy, we could be seeing some really hot days as well as we approach Christmas, but it looks like the eastern states will remain mild. Let's jump into the forecast over at windy.com and then get to a Christmas forecast at the end of this video. So we're starting things off looking at ex-tropical Cyclone Jasper, which, I mean, it looks pretty good on the still satellite imagery, but just remember it is still just a coastal trough, which is extending down from about Thursday Island down to Cairns at this time. The centre of the low pressure system is about here. It's really quite a long way displaced from its convection, so it's not a healthy looking storm system, that's for sure. And the intense thunderstorms very well displaced, and this is where all the heavy rainfall is, and it looks like it's just starting to ease now for Cairns, and in fact they might get a chance at some sunshine as we get into the later hours of today into this afternoon. But you can see still very heavy thunderstorms north of Wudjil and up towards Cooktown, and they are dumping some very heavy rainfall at this time, and that is expected to stick around for at least the next couple of hours at least as these rain bands move further north, and then they'll get around to sort of Lockhart River, Moomba, that sort of area, and they'll fully start to move north and completely dissipate by the looks of things. Thankfully, this looks like it is definitely going to be the final day of the intense rainfall. But yeah, it really does look like the rainfall is starting to die down, which is great news indeed. Still, however, over the next 12 hours, we can be expecting a further 300 millimetres for Wudjil and up towards Cooktown. And in fact, some places might get up to 350 millimetres, which is bad news indeed, considering it's already very, very saturated up there. But over the next 24 hours, we're really not going to be seeing too much more than that 350 millimetres. Some pockets might pick up close to 400 under the right band, so still a very substantial amount of rainfall for these flooded communities. But the good news is, as you get further south around Atherton and Cairns, the rainfall drops off a cliff completely. Maybe a further 10 millimetres of rain, and if that in some places as well. What is just a little bit concerning is over the next week, we're going to be seeing this onshore flow just driven ashore, just the winds just blasting a couple of showers ashore here. So we could be seeing some brief periods of heavy rainfall throughout the rest of the week and into next weekend, which might rise rivers again, because it's going to take a while for these rivers to get below the minor to moderate flood level. So there is still the risk of flooding throughout the rest of the week, but certainly not the risk that we've been seeing overnight with these river heights getting like crazy 5 metres above their major flood level. It's been absolutely crazy stuff, and it's been the worst since the 1977 floods, and in fact in some locations, especially around Cairns, it's been the worst flooding on record from this tropical cyclone. But I think that's enough talk for Jasper right now. We're going to zoom out and take a look at the Australian picture. So we're looking at for the forecast throughout the next week. Now, I have been making mention of these severe storms that are meant to fire across New South Wales and into southern Queensland. These are them here. You can see just these really concentrated, very heavy rainfall patches across the desert communities. Very heavy rainfall. Once again, the risk of flooding remains here. Places that get under the right amount of convection, they could really be seeing some very significant rainfall totals. Also large hailstones, destructive winds from these thunderstorms, and they'll extend throughout Tuesday and into Wednesday, when they'll start to move a little bit further towards the east, towards the New South Wales coastline, extending over Dubbo and then up towards the Great Dividing Range, down towards Canberra in fact. And this onshore flow here, powered by a what looks to be a low pressure system in the Tasman Sea, or actually a high pressure system in the Tasman Sea by the looks of these winds, we could be seeing some storms extend across the coastline. They could be really gusty as well, so they should keep the weather cool for the New South Wales coastline throughout the next week. We could really be seeing some gusty showers and storms throughout Wednesday and into Thursday. And again, these are going to be pulse thunderstorms to supercell thunderstorms, so the highest risk of them is in the afternoon and the evening, but they could happen any time throughout the day, especially in areas that frequently receive thunderstorms. They'll extend into Queensland throughout Thursday and into Friday, and you can just see just how much rainfall could be expected from these thunderstorms. In fact, over the next 5 days, we'll be seeing some places pick up over 150 millimetres. Anywhere in the green areas, there's more than 50 millimetres of rain. As you see in the blue areas, more than 100 millimetres of rain. And there is widespread areas expecting more than 50 millimetres of rain from these storms, extending right up towards Brisbane and Bundaberg. So quite a lot of rainfall expected from this event. Thankfully, it looks like by Friday, these storms really do start to dissipate. It looks like they'll get a break in the weather for a couple of days before. Once again, it looks like a sort of low pressure front or trough moves in from Western Australia, which would be the dying heat that we're expecting this week over in Western Australia. It will start to, that trough will weaken, it will move inland, and then we'll see these storms fire up across Western Australia and South Australia probably about Friday into Saturday. And yeah, it looks like, again, it could be a pretty wet week for South Australia, all things considered. Some places could definitely pick up more than 50 millimetres of rain. And as we enter Christmas Eve, these storms are going to move into New South Wales and they'll really start to fire across the Great Dividing Range. And it looks like it could be a wet start to Christmas. In fact, the morning across southern New South Wales, throughout Sydney and into Canberra, we could be seeing some pretty significant rainfall move through the area in the form of showers and thunderstorms. And then it looks like the real deal, the significant thunderstorms across Queensland start to develop across Christmas day into Christmas evening. Probably around 4 p.m. we'll start to see the worst of the thunderstorm activity, and they'll really get quite intense as they move north of Maroochydore and up in towards Bundaberg and Rockhampton, that sort of area. We'll be seeing some really significant rainfall totals from those storms, which are likely to be supercells, so very severe storms indeed. And it looks like Brisbane just misses out on the storm activity for Christmas, but they could still get a little bit of rainfall. And into Boxing Day, we'll see those storms continue, and they'll extend throughout Queensland. But for the rest of the country, looking fairly dry for Boxing Day. Same with Christmas as well. Some storms for southern Western Australia, southwestern Australia around Perth. But again, I don't know how likely they are, considering there's very little model support for that. So I wouldn't bank on a wet Christmas for Perth. In fact, I'd be banking on a pretty warm Christmas. That's for sure. Temperatures probably above 35 degrees for Christmas Day at this time. Still a long way out, and there's a lot that could change in the forecast. Temperature-wise across the nation for Christmas, or Christmas Eve and Boxing Day, very hot across the north. We could be seeing daytime maxima approach that sort of 45, 46 degree threshold around Kununurra, 46 degrees, Tennant Creek, 42 degrees, and up towards Darwin, an average sort of 33, 34 degrees Celsius there. Into Queensland, 40 degrees for lots of locations in the west, down towards Brisbane, a pretty average mild 30 degrees Celsius. And it's going to be cool in New South Wales and Victoria. Some places will struggle to get above 15 degrees Celsius for the day. Sydney peaking at 20 degrees Celsius. Melbourne a very warm 25 degrees Celsius, and that could be humid as well because of the thunderstorm activity. Adelaide looking to be a nice 25 degrees Celsius. Hobart actually a very cool 14 degrees Celsius throughout the day, and that's probably going to be because of some of the rain that will be affecting the area. And it looks like across Western Australia, a fairly warm Christmas wherever there isn't rain. Perth could be seeing an early maximum of about 34 degrees Celsius by the looks of things, and around Lanista and Kalgoorlie we could be seeing a 40 degree day there, so fairly warm indeed across Western Australia. Now let's jump into the graphical Christmas forecast from Force 13 Australia. So with all of that taken into account, you can see this is our graphical look at the Christmas forecast. Hot conditions across Western Australia, in fact very hot conditions across the Gascoyne and Pilbara region, and that will turn into stormy conditions across New South Wales, across Queensland rather, and they could be severe, especially between Mackay down towards Rockhampton and Brisbane. Those thunderstorms will extend south across Grafton, Newcastle and Sydney, and as you get further south they'll probably be more sort of showery storms, but still we could be seeing some thunder showers across the Sydney metropolitan area Christmas Day, so it might be a wet Christmas for down there, but still 8 days out, a lot can change in that forecast. Cold across the south, with the only exception actually being Melbourne itself, which might find itself under a warm pocket of about 25, 26 degrees Celsius. Showers and cool conditions for Tasmania, and showers as well for the South Island of New Zealand, and just average conditions across South Australia, central New South Wales and central southern Western Australia, and also the North Island of New Zealand. So overall, a pretty nice Christmas forecast for many locations. It just looks like we could be seeing some storms across Brisbane and Sydney at this time, so it might be a wet Christmas for there. A lot can change, so make sure you do stick around to the Force 13 Australia channel, because we will be bringing you the latest over the next coming couple of days and week. That's the latest from us. I'll catch you all on the next storm. Goodbye.
Thank you for watching our content this update. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to get more updates covering all things weather and geophysics impacting Australia and the Oceania region. Subscribe to our other channels for more content from across the network, and be sure to check out our website where you can find free access to floater and radar imagery and articles on everything weather and much more. If you wish to support us directly, you can purchase some of our merchandise. We have a wide variety of clothing and homeware, or you could become an Ultimate Fan, which is the best way to directly support us, granting you some sweet perks and offers, including features in our custom storm animations, live streams, and much more.